Hello, how are you all? Thanks for subscribing and for your like. In the heart of Africa, there are secrets so ancient they defy history as we know it. Forgotten tribes, mysterious symbols, and sacred texts hold memories that have spanned millennia. Did ancient African civilizations influence cultures and religions around the world in ways we never imagined? Prepare for a journey between the visible and the invisible, where every detail reveals hidden connections and ancestral wisdom. Before we delve into this mystery, have you subscribed to the channel yet? Leave a like and tell us in the comments where in the world you're listening to this ancient story from. In the distance, the sun sets over golden savannas and silent deserts, painting the land with seemingly sacred hues. Ancient winds carry forgotten stories, whispering secrets that transcend generations. Between shadows and light, the outline of villages and hamlets emerges, guardians of ancestral memories. It is in this setting that Africa reveals its mysterious face, inviting the traveler to delve into legends and mysteries. Each stone, each tree, seems to hold a hidden memory of times that should never be forgotten. Rivers meander through the landscape like living veins, reflecting the sky and holding memories of the past. Their waters, tranquil or turbulent, carry ancient songs and the names of forgotten heroes. Silent birds circle overhead, as if recognizing the history that rests on their banks. Even the wind seems to chant ancestral songs, reminding us that there is much more than meets the eye. Each bend in the path promises to reveal a fragment of lost wisdom. Between the rustling of leaves and the crackling of dry earth, shadows of legendary figures emerge. Kings, priests, and gods who once walked these lands. Their presence intertwines with the daily lives of the people, reminding us that the sacred walks hand in hand with the mundane. Each gesture, each tradition, is an echo of a past that resists time. The scene is painted with mystery, as if the earth itself breathed ancient stories. Something awaits discovery, hidden between the silence and the memory of the continent. As night falls, the sky lights up with stars that seem to tell secrets of civilizations that flourished and disappeared. Ancient constellations guide attentive eyes, like maps pointing to hidden knowledge. The darkness, instead of frightening, reveals invisible paths, bringing to the surface the feeling that everything is connected. One senses the presence of something greater, something that observes and waits to be understood. The story begins to unfold, but still holds enigmas to be revealed. And it is in this setting that the journey begins. Silent steps between the past and the present, between the human and the divine. Each stone in the path, each shadow, each breath of wind, seems to carry messages from those who lived before. A silent invitation rises, suggesting that the secrets of lost tribes and their ancient gods await those who dare to listen. The African continent presents itself as an open book, but one whose pages still need to be deciphered. And then, the first question arises: what mysteries do these lands hold for those who seek? In the heart of Africa, between vast plains and ancient mountains, emerge lands marked by time and mystery. Here, rivers like the Nile and the Niger carry stories that span millennia, nourishing civilizations and guardian spirits. Each region has its own rhythm, its colors and sounds, as if the land itself had memories to tell. Ancient peoples walked these lands, leaving footprints that still echo in forgotten villages and temples. And it is in this mosaic of cultures that clues to unexpected connections begin to emerge. To the north, scorching deserts conceal vestiges of ancient empires, their dunes like silent sentinels of long-forgotten secrets. To the south, dense forests and winding rivers preserve traditions that defy time, passed down orally by leaders and elders. Every corner of the continent holds a story that intertwines the sacred and the everyday, revealing a living map of African ancestry. Fertile lands, open savannas, and sacred shores become settings for discoveries and cultural encounters. And, as the gaze expands, one realizes that the continent is a stage for ancient mysteries. Nestled among mountains and valleys, villages emerge that seem suspended in time, connecting past and present. Here, the people maintain traditions that date back to eras before the rise of the great cities of the ancient world. Their stories speak of migrations, alliances, and encounters with travelers from distant lands. Each trail, each lake, each tree seems to whisper memories of forgotten encounters. It is in this context that the first traces of tribes linked to Israel begin to appear, intertwining distant cultures. Natural borders, formed by rivers, deserts, and forests, shaped not only the geography but also the history of African communities. Peoples adapted, survived, and flourished, building a tapestry of interconnected cultures and deep beliefs. Ancient maps show trade routes, migration, and diaspora, revealing surprising connections with the Middle East and the Mediterranean. Every detail of the territory carries symbols and signs of ancient alliances, as if the land itself reminded them of what books don't tell. And so, the first enigmas arise, inviting discovery. Amidst this vastness, one realizes that Africa is not just a continent. It is a beating heart of memories, spirituality, and secrets. Every river, every plain, every hill holds stories intertwined with the myths and legends of ancestral peoples. It is in this setting that the narrative begins to reveal that the history of the lost tribes is not isolated, but connected to a vast and ancient world of knowledge. Geography becomes a bridge between the known and the hidden, between the visible and the invisible. And so, a new mystery begins to unfold, waiting to be explored. Between rivers and mountains, peoples emerge whose origins defy the logic of time and memory. Stories speak of tribes that claim direct descent from the ancient tribes of Israel, carrying names, rituals, and traditions that echo from afar. Each village holds secrets transmitted orally, protected like sacred treasures. The mystery grows as ancient texts and symbols emerge on the walls of forgotten houses and temples. It is as if the past insists on revealing itself, but only to those who know how to listen. Walking through these lands, one realizes that every gesture, every song, and every celebration carries echoes of a distant world. Clothing, amulets, and body markings bear signs that connect Africa to stories of the Middle East. It's as if the winds carry memories of ancient journeys, crossing deserts and seas. And in each ritual, a fragment of ancestral truth manifests itself, subtle, almost imperceptible. But the mystery still keeps doors closed to those who seek easy explanations. Ancient leaders and elders speak of pacts and prophecies, of alliances made in forgotten times, that have spanned generations. The narratives told around the fire seem sacred, weaving an invisible thread that connects Africa and Israel. Each story brings names, dates, and events that defy official chronology, leaving traces of knowledge that has withstood the test of time. The secrets are hidden among rites and traditions that only the initiated fully understand. And yet, there are signs that beckon the curious to seek more. Archaeologists and historians find scattered clues in arid lands and forgotten temples, but many answers remain untouched. Objects, inscriptions, and monuments point to a surprising connection between continents, religions, and ancient peoples. With each discovery, new questions arise, as if each answer opens doors to other enigmas. And it is in this terrain of uncertainty that the history of lost tribes remains alive, almost like a whisper that crosses centuries. The past seems to want to speak, but in carefully guarded fragments. Thus, the mystery of the lost tribes grows like a shadow among the accounts of time, challenging those who get too close. There are subtle signs in the music, the dance, the symbols, waiting for someone to connect the scattered dots. Ancestral knowledge hides in rituals, chants, and traditions, ready to reveal itself to those who seek with patience. Each clue is an invitation to continue the journey, to explore lands and stories that defy common understanding. And it is in this invitation that the next discovery arises, waiting to be revealed. In the mists of time, foundational stories emerge that blend reality and myth, as if the earth itself had written its secrets in stones and rivers. Ancient tribes recount how heroes and ancestral leaders walked the continent, guided by divine signs. Each village preserves memories of battles, alliances, and sacred encounters, passed down orally. It is as if each generation receives the mission of remembering and protecting these narratives. And between legends and facts, the thread of history intertwines with the sacred. Some accounts speak of descendants of kings and prophets whose journeys crossed deserts and seas, connecting continents. These legendary heroes carried symbols and teachings that would shape the destiny of their people. Every gesture, every decision, was guided by invisible forces that balanced power and spirituality. And, as the stories unfold, a feeling arises that the ancient world still whispers, offering clues to the attentive. The legends hold keys to secrets that defy time. In some tribes, ancestors are celebrated as almost divine figures, whose lives are intertwined with the very essence of the land. Ancient rituals and sacred songs evoke their presence, as if the spirits of the founders still walk among the living. Each story told around the fire holds fragments of spiritual teachings, codes of survival, and wisdom. And, as the elders speak, the The wind seems to carry ancient words, reminding us that there is always more to discover. The past pulsates, alive and present. Symbols engraved in stone and would narrate legendary journeys, battles, and pacts that connect African tribes and distant lands. Each design, each mark, holds layers of meaning that only the initiated understand. Ancestral memory manifests itself not only in words, but in signs and rituals, preserving the history of those who came before. It is as if the universe itself conspired to ensure that ancestral truth would not be lost. And, as these mysteries are revealed, new questions arise that demand answers. Thus, ancient origins and founding legends present themselves as portals between the visible and the invisible, between history and myth. Each narrative carries teachings about courage, spirituality, and connection with higher powers. But, despite all apparent clarity, the deepest secrets remain hidden, awaiting patient and attentive discoverers. The ancient stories invite the listener to move forward, as if each paragraph were a door to the unknown. And it is in this invitation that the next revelation awaits, ready to emerge. Amidst rituals and stories passed down through generations, some African tribes claim to carry the heritage of the ancient tribes of Israel. Their chants, clothing, and symbols carry echoes from distant lands, traversing deserts and centuries. Each tradition seems to whisper an ancestral truth, carefully preserved in every gesture and word. It's as if the African continent holds a mirror of the Middle East, reflecting forgotten connections. And, as these clues emerge, new mysteries begin to unfold. The sacred texts, read in ancient temples or remembered orally, show striking parallels with Israelite traditions. Stories of prophets, laws, and sacred festivals find echoes in African lands, intertwining cultures separated by vast distances. Every detail seems to have been intentionally preserved, as if ancestral memory resisted time. An invisible bridge, made of symbols, stories, and faith, unites two seemingly distant worlds. But not everything can be explained with words. Much remains hidden, awaiting someone who knows how to interpret it. Some African rituals reveal practices similar to those described in ancient Eastern texts, such as purification celebrations, fasts, and sacred offerings. The movements, chants, and even the order of the ceremonies carry meanings that date back to millennia-old traditions. It is as if history had chosen these tribes to keep alive the essence of an ancient people. The connection between Africa and Israel presents itself as a delicate, invisible thread, but resistant to time and memory. And it is on this thread that questions arise that challenge common understanding. Spiritual leaders of these tribes are guardians of rare knowledge, capable of reciting stories that link African genealogies to biblical narratives. Each word, each name, each ceremony is laden with secret meanings and profound teachings. The elders remind us that faith and tradition are more than practices. They are the link that keeps the past alive between generations. Between chants and symbols, one perceives an invisible code, waiting to be deciphered. And, as details are revealed, the next mystery approaches. Thus, the connection between these tribes and Israel reveals itself as a trail of secrets and revelations, silently traversed over centuries. Each gesture, each custom, is proof of the resilience of ancestral memory, defying oblivion and time. And, as the mysteries accumulate, the traveler's curiosity is piqued. What stories still remain hidden, guarded by those who protect the ancestral legacy? The path opens, and new discoveries await, ready to emerge in the next chapter of history. Among the winds that sweep across plains and mountains, names of gods and spirits emerge, guardians of ancient knowledge. Each tribe carries in its memory figures that personify forces of nature and the cosmos. Symbols engraved in stone, wood, or fabrics reveal meanings that escape the hurried glance. It is as if the earth itself had spoken, leaving clues for those who dare to listen. And, contemplating these signs, one realizes that each symbol is an invitation to understand the invisible. Some African gods seem to walk between the world of the living and the spiritual world, guiding rituals, decisions, and the stories of each people. Ancestral spirits manifest themselves in chants, dances, and ceremonies, reminding us that past and present coexist. Each divine figure carries teachings, as if each myth were a lesson encoded in sacred memories. A constant dance is observed between the human and the divine, between earth and sky. And, in this intertwining, new mysteries begin to emerge. Sacred symbols appear on shields, body paintings, and temples, revealing layers of meaning that only the initiated understand. They speak of protection, prosperity, knowledge, and connection with the cosmos. Each stroke is laden with intention. Each pattern tells a story that spans generations. It's as if a secret language is hidden before the eyes of those who cannot decipher it. And, as the symbols reveal themselves, they point the way to even greater discoveries. Guardian spirits protect forgotten memories, teaching that the sacred is not limited to books or walls, but inhabits every gesture and word. They whisper in the forests, rivers, and winds, reminding us that each tradition is a bridge between worlds. Between dances and chants, one perceives that ancient knowledge endures, persisting in subtle and symbolic forms. Each spiritual element seems to indicate that there is always something beyond what is seen. And, in this constant dialogue, the next enigma to be explored emerges. Thus, gods, spirits, and symbols present themselves as guardians of secrets and ancestral wisdom. Each story, each mark, each invisible presence connects the past to the present in a profound and poetic way. But, however much one tries to decipher, much remains hidden, awaiting attentive eyes and receptive hearts. The invitation is clear: to continue the journey, to discover the deepest meanings, and to open doors to the unknown. And it is on this path that the next mystery emerges, ready to be revealed. As night falls, villages light up with the soft glow of bonfires, while ancient chants echo among the trees. Each ritual is a dance between the visible and the invisible, connecting the living and the ancestral. Hands are raised, bodies move, and the air seems to vibrate with sacred memories. Each gesture preserves secrets passed down through generations, as if each movement were a word from an ancestral tongue. And in this sacred atmosphere, the first signs of a wisdom that transcends time emerge. Between offerings and prayers, it becomes clear that each practice carries profound intentions: protection, healing, prosperity, and connection with the divine. Objects, colors, and symbols present in the rituals are not random. They are codes that reveal hidden teachings. The sound of drums resonates like the heart of the ancient world, guiding each participant along invisible paths. Each repeated chant is a line that unites present and past, human and divine. And between the steps and gestures, echoes of even deeper mysteries emerge. Rites of passage, from birth to ancestry, mark life with meaning and spirituality. Each ceremony reinforces the community's connection to the sacred, reminding us that time is cyclical and that ancient teachings are never lost. Initiation into certain secrets demands respect, patience, and keen perception, for the mysteries are not easily revealed. Amidst chants and dances, the feeling arises that everything is part of a great invisible map, waiting to be deciphered. And it is in this map that the next enigmas are hidden. Music, gestures, and symbols in rituals are languages that transcend words, connecting mind, body, and spirit. Each drumbeat or ritualistic movement awakens ancestral memories, as if time were folding back on itself. The elders guide the younger ones, teaching that each practice has a sacred purpose and a hidden history. Every detail seems laden with intentions that go beyond immediate comprehension. And, upon closer observation, one realizes that there is still more to learn about these connections. Thus, rituals and spiritual practices become portals to ancient knowledge, where each gesture and each sound tells forgotten stories. The energy that flows between participants, ancestors, and gods is a reminder that African spirituality is alive and vibrant. But, however much one participates or observes, much remains hidden, waiting to be understood by those who approach with reverence. The invitation is clear: to continue the journey, to follow the clues that emerge, and to unveil even deeper secrets. And it is on this path that new revelations await in the next section. Between deserts and savannas, archaeologists unearth vestiges of forgotten times, stones that hold silent secrets. Each artifact seems to whisper stories of peoples who walked among gods and mortals. Ancient relics, with inscriptions and mysterious symbols, defy simple interpretations and provoke new questions. It is as if the very soil of Africa has a memory, preserving fragments of a past that insists on speaking. And each discovery opens doors to enigmas that still remain hidden. Abandoned temples, hidden ruins, and caves sculpted by the wind hold memories of civilizations that flourished and disappeared. The walls speak through symbols, paintings, and inscriptions that have withstood the test of time. Each discovery provokes fascination, revealing unexpected connections to distant cultures and forgotten traditions. But even with science and analysis, many signs remain enigmatic, like coded messages for those who know how to listen. And in this ancient silence, new mysteries insinuate themselves. Ritual objects, sculptures, and amulets found in excavations carry meanings that transcend their materiality. They bear witness to beliefs, knowledge, and histories that defy modern logic. Every detail suggests complex spiritual practices and a profound understanding of the universe by the ancients. It's as if archaeology reveals only fragments of a vast and incomplete book. And, as one tries to decipher them, the next enigma emerges, awaiting attention. Ancient maps and trade routes indicate that these civilizations did not live in isolation. They were connected to distant lands. Trade, migrations, and cultural exchanges left visible and invisible signs, only perceptible upon careful observation. Each archaeological site is a time capsule, ready to tell stories that defy official chronologies and traditions. And, among the stones and artifacts, one realizes that much more awaits to be unveiled. The past remains alive, even in silence. Thus, archaeological mysteries invite the observer to delve into a history that is not complete, but pulsates with life and meaning. Each stone, each object, each ruin is a clue to an ancient narrative that spans centuries. The journey through these enigmas is continuous, as if time were merely a superficial layer over deeper truths. And between fragments and discoveries, the next secret emerges, ready to be explored and connected to stories yet to come. Among aged pages and forgotten parchments, texts emerge that preserve the memory of ancient peoples. But more than paper and ink, true wisdom resides in the words spoken around the fire. Each oral narrative transmits knowledge, rituals, and spiritual codes that defy time and writing. It's as if history were alive, pulsating with each recitation and teaching. And upon hearing these stories, one realizes that there is much more hidden between the lines and whispers. The elders are guardians of this memory, capable of reciting genealogies, prophecies, and events that connect African tribes to distant civilizations. Each word, each pause, and each intonation reveals layers of meaning that go beyond the superficial narrative. Stories of heroes, gods, and ancestral peoples intertwine with spiritual and moral teachings. And, as the oral tradition endures, a portal opens to mysteries yet to be discovered. The past reveals itself vividly, yet partially hidden. Some sacred texts found in temples or ancient manuscripts show surprising similarities to biblical narratives. Laws, festivals, and stories of prophets find echoes in African practices, as if memories of the same world crossed continents. Each similarity awakens curiosity and fascination, suggesting that ancestral memory has resisted centuries of dispersion and oblivion. And, when observing oral records, one notices that there are always more details hidden between the lines. The knowledge is profound, but still incomplete. Songs, chants, and recitations function as living records, preserving what writing cannot capture. Rhythm and melody carry hidden meanings, conveying complex stories with apparent simplicity. It is through these forms that spiritual traditions, genealogies, and ancient pacts are maintained. Each performance is a bridge between generations, connecting the present to the ancestral past. And between sung words and whispers, signs of secrets yet to be revealed emerge. Thus, sacred texts and oral records become invisible guides, pointing the way between visible and hidden history. Each story told or written preserves fragments of knowledge that resist time and oblivion. Oral tradition and writing intertwine, offering clues to understanding African ancestry and its connections to the world. But there is still much to discover, and each narrative awakens new questions. And it is in this terrain of enigmas that the next mystery awaits. Engraved in stone, wood, or fabrics, ancient symbols seem to whisper secrets to those who know how to look. Each stroke carries meanings that connect visible and invisible worlds, revealing memories that time has not been able to erase. They are silent maps, guiding initiates along paths of knowledge and ancestral wisdom. Each mark is a bridge between the everyday and the divine, between the human and the spiritual. And, by observing carefully, clues to even deeper mysteries emerge. Some symbols represent gods, ancestors, or forces of nature, serving as keys to understanding sacred rituals and practices. Every detail seems laden with intention, indicating teachings that have been passed down through generations without being forgotten. The most attentive can perceive patterns that connect tribes, regions, and even continents. It's as if a secret language exists, written by the very memory of the world. And between forms and meanings, the next enigma begins to reveal itself. Symbols also appear in everyday artifacts, clothing, and sculptures, reminding us that life and the sacred are intertwined. Each object carries energy and knowledge, teaching us that even the simplest gestures can contain profound wisdom. Interpreting these signs requires sensitivity, patience, and openness to understanding what is not evident. Each discovery is a clue to understanding the codes of African ancestry, and, between lines and patterns, new doors open for exploring the unknown. The presence of these symbols in different regions reveals unexpected connections between peoples separated by long distances. It's as if an invisible network unites traditions and cultures, sharing knowledge without ever losing its meaning. Each observation, each analysis, awakens curiosity and opens space for new interpretations. But the true meaning remains guarded, waiting for those who dedicate themselves to listening attentively. And, in this search, the mysteries continue to accumulate, ready to be deciphered. Thus, hidden symbols become silent guides for those who wish to understand the depth of ancestral knowledge. They are not merely images, they are living testimonies of a wisdom that has survived time and oblivion. Each mark, each trace, each pattern is an invitation to continue the journey and explore the secrets that still remain hidden. And, amidst codes and enigmas, the next discovery emerges, ready to illuminate new paths in ancient history. Across deserts, rivers, and sea routes, ancient African tribes established connections that spanned continents. Merchants, travelers, and emissaries carried not only goods, but also stories, beliefs, and ancestral knowledge. Each encounter between cultures left subtle marks, symbols, and practices that persist to this day. It's as if trade were an invisible thread weaving bridges of knowledge and spirituality. And, through these routes, clues to ancient influences emerged that still spark curiosity. Products, fabrics, and objects carried more than just material value. They were bearers of ancient traditions and secrets. Each transaction also implied an exchange of stories, rituals, and myths. Trade thus became channels for the preservation and dissemination of ancestral knowledge. And by studying these routes, it becomes clear that they connected African peoples to Israel, the Mediterranean, and distant lands. Each step of these connections reveals layers of history that are yet to be explored. The cities and villages near these routes flourished as centers of learning, spirituality, and culture. Merchants and travelers exchanged more than gold and spices. They carried and brought memories, prophecies, and traditions. Each ancient market functioned as a microcosm of the world, where knowledge mingled with daily life. And, while goods changed hands, stories also circulated, linking the ancient to the present. It is in this setting that the first evidence of profound cultural exchanges emerges. Cultural bridges were not only physical, but also spiritual and symbolic. Rituals, symbols, and beliefs spread along with goods, establishing invisible ties between distant peoples. Each influence left subtle marks, observable in customs, stories, and religious practices. Thus, ancient Africa revealed itself not as isolated, but connected to a vast world of knowledge. And, as these connections emerge, the next mystery begins to unfold. Thus, cultural and commercial bridges become testimonies to an invisible history, blending economics, spirituality, and the exchange of knowledge. Each route, each merchant, each city is a meeting point between civilizations, revealing a dynamic and deeply connected continent. But behind these connections lie secrets guarded by generations, ready to be discovered by those who seek to hear ancestral history. And, amidst exchanges and paths, the next revelation emerges, awaiting attention. Between villages and empires, stories of challenges and conflicts emerge that shape the trajectory of African peoples. Warriors, leaders, and communities faced invasions, rivalries, and disputes over land and resources. Each conflict also carried a spiritual element, as if the land itself were protecting its secrets. And, amidst battles and strategies, signs of resistance arise that transcend generations. It is in this scenario that the past reveals itself not only in victories, but also in resilience. Ancient peoples developed unique forms of resistance, preserving culture, tradition, and spirituality even in the face of external threats. Rituals and symbols were used for protection, strengthening communities and keeping ancestral memory alive. Each act of resistance carried teachings about courage, unity, and survival. It's as if each battle were also a dance between the visible and the invisible, between the physical and the spiritual. And, in the shadows of history, stories emerge that defy time. Thus, cultural and spiritual legacies present themselves as living testimonies to the richness and depth of ancestral Africa. They connect past, present, and future, revealing that history does not end, but continues to manifest itself in every gesture and belief. Each tradition, symbol, and ritual is a clue to understanding ancestry and its enduring influence on the world. And, among preserved legacies and sacred memories, the next secret awaits to be revealed. Amidst oceans and deserts, echoes of spirituality emerge, connecting Africa to distant lands. African rituals, symbols, and myths find reflections in ancient cultures of the Middle East, the Mediterranean, and beyond. Each similarity suggests a connection that transcends geographical space, revealing invisible exchanges of wisdom and faith. It is as if spirituality were a bridge spanning continents and centuries. And, as these ties are revealed, new mysteries arise, waiting to be explored. African mythologies share themes with traditions from Israel, Egypt, and Mesopotamia, creating universal patterns of gods, heroes, and prophecies. Each parallel sparks curiosity, showing that ancestral knowledge was connected to a larger universe. The symbols and rituals reflect similar principles, although adapted to local realities. It's as if an invisible web unites different peoples through shared spiritual experiences. And between these threads, stories emerge that challenge the official narrative. Trade and migration facilitated the spread of beliefs, making certain customs universal, even if modified by the local context. Ceremonies, festivals, and religious practices spread, maintaining essential elements of ancestral wisdom. Each cultural encounter generated learning and preserved shared memories, strengthening invisible bonds. And, as these connections expanded, ancient Africa revealed itself as an epicenter of spiritual knowledge. New discoveries are always waiting for attentive eyes. Spiritual leaders recognized these bridges and integrated teachings from different origins, reinforcing the connection between peoples. Each teaching, each symbol, each myth was carefully preserved, transmitting the essence of ancestral wisdom. This convergence of traditions strengthened communities and ensured the survival of ancient secrets. It is as if each culture amplified the other, creating a spiritual and symbolic network. And, in this intertwining, questions arise about mysteries that have not yet been unveiled. Thus, spiritual connections with other cultures reveal that ancient Africa did not exist in isolation, but as part of a vast universe of knowledge and rituals. Each parallel and historical coincidence suggests that ancestral wisdom was consciously shared and preserved. And, as we explore these bridges, new enigmas arise, inviting the journey to continue. The path between cultures is a river of knowledge, and the next mystery awaits discovery. Among scrolls, manuscripts, and oral histories, texts emerge that carry visions of the future and hidden truths. Each word seems to pulsate with the energy of its transmitter, holding prophecies and spiritual teachings. It is as if time were folding, uniting past, present, and future in a single thread of wisdom. Each narrative reveals that ancestral knowledge is not only historical but also visionary. And, as these words are unveiled, new enigmas begin to arise. Ancient African prophets and spiritual leaders recorded, through gestures, chants, and symbols, warnings and predictions about the destiny of peoples and nations. Each prophecy carried a profound, often coded meaning that demanded attention and understanding. Oral transmission complemented the texts, reinforcing that ancestral memory is alive and dynamic. It is as if each generation has the mission of deciphering messages hidden in the stories. And, between signs and interpretations, arises the need to continue exploring. Some texts show striking parallels with biblical narratives and Middle Eastern traditions, suggesting ancient connections and spiritual exchanges. Each coincidence sparks fascination and provokes new questions about the origin of sacred knowledge. The prophecies reveal not only events, but also moral and spiritual lessons that span centuries. It is as if a network of wisdom has been carefully preserved, waiting to be understood. And, between prophecies and teachings, unexplored paths emerge. The symbols and inscriptions present in these texts function as codes that reveal hidden meanings. Each detail, each repetition, carries teachings about ethics, spirituality, and understanding of the world. Deciphering these messages requires patience and sensitivity, as ancestral knowledge is subtle and profound. It is as if each word were a key that opens doors to invisible worlds. And as each symbol is interpreted, new ancient mysteries emerge, inviting discovery. Thus, sacred texts and ancient prophecies present themselves as guides that connect generations, revealing wisdom that transcends time. Each record is a bridge between the human and the divine, between visible history and hidden knowledge. And as we explore these words and symbols, new enigmas are unveiled, keeping the journey alive and continuous. The invitation is clear: follow the thread of ancestry and discover the secrets that still remain hidden. And, amidst visions and ancient messages, the next mystery approaches. In isolated regions forgotten by time, there are tribes that preserve ancestral traditions almost intact. Some claim direct descent from Israel, carrying memories and rituals that have spanned millennia. Each village holds stories passed down through generations, in chants, symbols, and sacred ceremonies. It is as if the past were alive among its inhabitants, defying official historical records. And as one approaches these communities, new enigmas emerge that cry out for understanding. These tribes maintain unique spiritual practices, blending ancient African beliefs with influences that suggest biblical connections. Each rite, each narrative, reveals ancestral wisdom that questions the linearity of known history. The knowledge transmitted orally includes genealogies, prophecies, and symbolic codes. It's as if each gesture and each word tells stories forgotten by time. And between songs and ceremonies, one realizes that much still needs to be discovered. Preserved symbols and traditions indicate links to ancient sacred texts, reminding us that ancestral memory manifests itself in subtle and powerful ways. Every detail of clothing, ornament, or dance reveals layers of meaning and identity. It's as if each tribe were a guardian of universal secrets, connecting past and present. The history of these communities is an invitation to explore lost spiritual and cultural connections. And, as these clues are uncovered, new mysteries emerge. Connections to other ancient cultures and civilizations suggest that these tribes were part of a larger ancestral network. Commercial, spiritual, and symbolic, these interactions left traces that are only now beginning to be understood. Each village is a microcosm of forgotten stories, preserving practices that defy centuries of oblivion. It is as if each community holds a key to understanding global legacies. And, among these ancient ties, enigmas emerge that challenge official history. Thus, the lost tribes of Africa are not only survivors, but guardians of ancestral knowledge, spirituality, and traditions. Every song, symbol, and ritual is a living memory that connects the present to forgotten times. The journey through the legacy of these communities reveals layers of history that transcend borders and challenge modern understanding. And, between preserved stories and ancestral memories, the next secret of ancient Africa awaits exploration. The echoes of ancient African civilizations can be perceived even in modern times, in the cultures, religions, and philosophies spread throughout the world. Each preserved tradition, each ancient symbol, influences contemporary practices in subtle yet powerful ways. It is as if African ancestry leaves invisible traces that have shaped entire societies. And, as we observe the present, we realize that the past continues to whisper teachings. These echoes open doors to even deeper revelations. Religious and spiritual movements, both in Africa and beyond, carry elements that hark back to ancestral rituals and beliefs. The teachings passed down by lost tribes and ancient sacred texts have resonated with modern traditions. Each practice preserves fragments of knowledge that have withstood time and diaspora. It's as if history is alive, crossing borders and centuries. And amidst influences and connections, enigmas arise about the origin of what we know today. Arts, music, and literature reveal traces of ancient African cultures, showing that the spiritual and cultural legacy has never been forgotten. Each instrument, each rhythm, and each narrative carries memories that have crossed oceans and continents. Signs of African ancestry are present in collective identities and individual expressions. It is as if each modern creation were a continuation of millennia-old stories. And, among colors, sounds, and words, new clues about the past emerge. The study of the African diaspora shows how ancient practices and traditions survived in different contexts, adapting without losing their essence. Each ritual, each symbol, each belief carried with it fragments of wisdom and spirituality. The influence of ancient African cultures on the modern world is vast and often invisible, yet profound. It is as if ancestral knowledge is always present, shaping thought and culture. And between adaptations and preservations, new questions arise to be explored. Thus, the influences on modern history reveal that ancient Africa is not merely memory, but a living force that shapes civilizations and continues to impact the present. Each legacy, each preserved tradition, connects the past with the now, showing that nothing is truly forgotten. And as we follow traces of this ancestry, new enigmas emerge, ready to be unveiled. The thread that unites past and present remains, leading to the next discovery of African history. Among symbols, rituals, and ancient texts, connections emerge that link distant civilizations and reveal a web of ancestral wisdom. It's as if Africa were an epicenter of knowledge that spanned continents and millennia. Each discovery, each pattern, suggests that nothing in the past was isolated, but part of a larger network. And by exploring these connections, we realize that mysteries intertwine in surprising ways. The past begins to whisper secrets not yet fully understood. Some artifacts and inscriptions show connections with peoples of the Middle East, Egypt, and the Mediterranean, indicating long-forgotten spiritual and cultural exchanges. Each detail reveals that practices, symbols, and beliefs circulated consciously, preserving memories and legacies. It is as if each civilization carried fragments of the other, united by invisible threads of ancestry. And, among these subtle signs, new revelations await attention. Knowledge presents itself in a coded form, inviting interpretation. Oral traditions preserved by lost tribes suggest that ancient prophecies and teachings were interconnected, forming a mosaic of universal wisdom. Each narrative is a piece of a puzzle that reveals hidden connections between peoples and eras. It's as if ancestral memory were a secret language, passed down through generations. And as these stories are deciphered, new enigmas emerge, ready to be explored. The path of knowledge continues to expand. Symbols, texts, and rituals, when observed together, reveal patterns that defy chronology and official history. They indicate that certain ancient African traditions influenced, directly or indirectly, other cultures and religions. Each connection discovered is a reminder that history is deeper and more complex than is usually imagined. And, as these revelations accumulate, the next secret begins to insinuate itself. The past becomes a living map, guiding the journey. Thus, the hidden revelations and connections show that ancient Africa is a repository of wisdom that transcends time and space. Each discovery, each interpretation, offers clues about how civilizations connected and influenced one another. And, as we follow these invisible threads, new mysteries emerge, inviting continued exploration. The invitation is clear, to continue unraveling the ancestral legacy, where each answer reveals more questions. And, amidst enigmas and discoveries, the next topic awaits. When contemplating the history of lost tribes, ancient symbols, and hidden connections, one realizes that the African legacy is vast and profound. Each gesture, each song, and each symbol carries memories that have withstood the test of time. It is as if the land itself holds secrets and teachings from forgotten generations. Each narrative reveals that ancestral wisdom is present, even when invisible to the eye. And in this recognition, a sense of reverence and fascination for the past arises. The traditions and knowledge passed down by African tribes have influenced cultures, religions, and philosophies around the world. Each ritual, text, or symbol is a bridge between eras, showing that history is a continuous thread connecting past and present. It's as if each ancestor left clues so that future generations could rediscover the path of wisdom. And as we follow these clues, new mysteries continue to emerge, awaiting discovery. African spirituality, symbols, and ancestral culture invite reflection on what it truly means to preserve memory and identity. Each story or artifact is a reminder that true knowledge transcends the material, connecting the human to the divine. It is as if time, through these legacies, invites us to listen attentively and learn from our ancestors. And, amidst echoes of the past, paths emerge to understand the present more deeply. Revelations, archaeological discoveries, and oral records show that ancient Africa was a center of wisdom, connecting distant peoples and civilizations. Each fragment of preserved knowledge is a testament to the intelligence, resilience, and spirituality of the ancients. And, reflecting on these connections, we realize that modern history bears the marks of this invisible legacy. The past presents itself as a subtle guide, inviting the journey to continue. Thus, the ultimate legacy of the lost tribes and ancestral Africa is a living tapestry of culture, spirituality, and knowledge. Each discovery reveals fragments of a history that defies oblivion and inspires new questions. And, as we reflect on this legacy, we are invited to respect, learn from, and keep ancestral memory alive. The past continues to whisper, and each step in history brings us closer to secrets that still await revelation. And it is in this continuous echo that the journey remains open. As we explore the mysteries of lost tribes and ancient African civilizations, we realize that history goes far beyond the books. Every symbol, every ritual, and every narrative preserves wisdom that still influences the modern world in ways we often don't perceive. The past whispers lessons about courage, resilience, and connection to the divine, reminding us that ancestry is never completely lost. By reflecting on these legacies, we are invited to respect, learn from, and keep alive the memory of those who came before. If you want to continue uncovering the hidden secrets of Africa and its ancient civilizations, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any new ancestral stories.